This podcast contains potentially adult language, adult themes, definitely drinking, and possibly sexual context. Listener discretion is advised.
There's a mysterious.
Oh. What are you doing, Val? We haven't even started the episode yet. Like, okay.
You told me I better be smashed for this, so I started early and then I fell asleep.
No, I told you. Here. Okay. So welcome to Drinking with Authors. This is the celebratory 200th episode. That's not the 200th episode because I miscounted. So it's 200-ish episode.
200-ish episode, yeah.
It's vaguely between 200 and like 215. It's a little hazy.
Oh, okay.
You totally could have just kept that to yourself and just slid it into the playlist and nobody would be any
No one
wiser.
started playing and it says the number when you play the episodes. Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. So I am your host, Erica Lance, and with me tonight is all of my amazing co-hosts. So we have J.M. Paquette, Valerie Willis, Vanessa Valiente, Mark Muncie, and C.R. Rice. And we are going to just do what we do, but drinking. I'm very excited on what we're going to talk about, what we're drinking tonight. I'm going to uncork this. This is Mum Napa. Okay, that's all I got. I didn't buy this. Somebody bought it for me, but it's the only champagne I have in the house. So I'm gonna uncork it and drink this champagne. So let's go.
Just watch your face.
I brought a towel to do it because anybody who knows anything should not uncork champagne without a fucking towel on it. Okay,
and
like
make
a
sure
boss.
to aim it away from your face.
But like a boss.
Freaking
Yeah.
Drinking.
I feel like next time,
celebratory drinking with author's cup. Which
Just
I feel like for the 300th, you got to do the sword.
Yeah.
You have like 85
Practice the sword.
I still spook myself every time I have to pop the biscuit container. So
I will say I do the same thing. I just drop it on. I like throw it to the other side of the counter so it could like explode over there.
Okay, well now we're going to talk about what we're drinking since you guys are ridiculous and making us look uncouth. Hold on, I'm drinking out of my Drinking with Authors celebratory cup.
Nice.
Okay. This is not good champagne. It's a terrible plan.
Well, we lost that endorsement. There it goes. So
The good thing we're sponsored by Skunk Brothers Spirits. I should be drinking some of their stuff. DWA 10 coupon code. CR, what are you drinking?
I went back to my healthy stuff since I was feeling bad yesterday. So now, listen. So I created this drink because I ran out of mixers, right? But I had green tea. So I do green tea and a shit ton of vodka, and it's healthy.
And what does you need to come up with for this drink?
vodka's made with potatoes, so it's a vegetable.
Right. Green tea is the like fountain of youth according to several cultures.
It was first produced in the leper colony during the
Okay, Valerie, nobody needs to know that. Shut up. Moving on. Mark, what are you drinking?
Oh, since I'm still on the epilepsy meds, as always, I am doing my usual coffee shop of horrors. This time I am having the Beetlejuice blend called Morning BJ, which is a wonderful banana nut bread for Morning BJ. And I am drinking in my celebratory mug, my Batman 89 Batmobile mug. So
awesome. I just want to say that that's like a triple entendre between the BJ and the banana.
Exactly. Banana nut bread.
Yeah. Vanessa, what are you drinking?
So I am drinking, I feel like everyone else is way more fancier, but Stella.
Okay. I'm just going to say, I can guarantee Jen is not going to be fancier when we get to that. Well, Jen does apparently have a Grogu mug. What are you drinking out of your Grogu mug?
I'm drinking chocolate Earl Grey tea because I got fancy today.
Oh, you did get fancy.
Ooh.
It's really good, surprisingly so.
Okay. And Val, what are you drinking?
I have Risata Moscato d'Asti, product of Italy, and I'm drinking it in Das Boot.
Ooh.
And
So many
my
things that are
badly
disastrous.
produced
It looks like you're drinking water, though.
Very clear, I know, but it's super sweet. It's going down way too easy.
You have to
All right,
turn
so-
the boot.
You're up. Don't do
As you
that. No,
Just
no,
start
that's
chugging
a
and then
terrible
just-
plan. That's a terrible plan.
She's
very
gonna spill
excited.
that all over the keyboard. Don't do.
I bought a waterproof keyboard for this reason.
How many keyboards did you destroy with a liquid before you had to go, you know what?
You
I need a
realize-
waterproof one.
Okay, so before I drink more of this absolutely terrible, I mean, I guess
Go
if
get
I-
the Viking Lightning from the Skunk Brothers.
yeah, it's all the way upstairs,
You-
and I already did that once this week, and I need
Yeah.
to still recover
That
from
was
that.
glorious. Judy and I
You
got
should have
to
seen the
that.
after effects yesterday. It was fantastic.
It's like my body knew I was drinking alcohol again yesterday, and it was like, hey, you remember that lightning? We saved some in your blood cells. Here you
It
go.
was like 80 proof or some shit like that.
Well, the lightning is 80 proof corn moonshine with honey in it. It is just disastrous, but wonderful and magical. Okay, so let's actually do something we don't ever do with the co-hosts and talk a little bit about what each of you writes.
Ooh.
This is my nightmare.
Ooh. So JM, we're going to start with you, the sober one, because everybody else will be drinking, so it'll be more entertaining when we get to them.
I write cheesy vampire romance, paranormal stuff, urban fantasy.
So what is a book that somebody could look up for the mystical JM Paquette to find?
I have a series called Cloudin's Ring that it's a trilogy that's like D&D meets vampires. Party of 5, but with vampires and elves and stuff, and that is available. And then there's a book of short stories that goes with that. And then I also have a modern urban fantasy called Conjuring Fascination, where books 1 and 2 are available, and book 3 is coming out in like a month or so. So it may be out by the time this plays.
Very, very cool. Valerie.
I write all the things, Erica.
I
write-
know.
Under Valerie Willis, I write mythology-fueled dark fantasy romances, and I also write writer's books. And then under VC Willis, I write very broody, angsty fantasy male romances that editors fight over, which makes my day. And then on the naughtier spectrum, I write under the pen name Honey Cummings, where I'm notorious for household titles like Sleeping with Sasquatch and Cuddling with Chupacabra. And that always gets plenty of laughs.
It's not, no, that's you laughing at yourself. People, I'm surprised you made it through that. You have been drinking. CR, what do you write?
I do young adult fantasy for the most part right now. The Realm series, the next realm is going to be sci-fi, I believe we decided. Is that what it is? Or did we go to the detective? Yes, so that's all that fun jazz.
Very, very cool. And the first one in that series is called Denial, correct?
Yes, I actually have it right here.
Ooh, look at
Boom.
that.
First time ever. I had to double check address yesterday.
Well, and Jen's got Cloud and Ring up behind her.
I know. Now I'm
And-
looking for.
And then I'm going to make Valerie do
Everybody
that.
dig around.
So what do you write?
Ooh, okay. So under my real name, I do have 2 short stories in 2 different collections, which is demonic household items, where I have pumpkin spiced coffee that turns people into vicious creatures. And then I also have another one where it's in another collection that is it's like a one world, and everyone kind of writes a different little aspect of that one little town. And I'm just putting this out on the podcast because Erica is going to ask, I will get my debut novel in my actual name done this year, which is high fantasy. I'm just putting it out there in the world.
I was going to say, because Charles Gannon is going to junk punch you if you
Yes.
don't have it done soon.
Yes, a lot
I
of
was gonna say you were talking about it when I did my podcast, which was
Yeah,
last
we all know. We
year.
can all berate
And it was
Vanessa
gonna be
about this.
And me and Jen have read it, and it's got some glorious prose, very poetic voice to it.
Listen,
Right. Well,
excuse me, she is going on about what she writes. What else, Vanessa?
yes. And then also Valerie and I in the future, I don't know when, but we will be co-writing a paranormal adult fantasy set in the roaring 20s where sexy werewolf shifter brothers. So that will be happening. And I also
Vampire Diaries with
no
werewolves?
Vampire Diaries. No.
I mean, that's exactly what it just sounded like.
No. Hell no. Even though I do love Vampire Diaries, no. And then I do write smutty stuff under a secret identity, which right now I'm not ready to reveal who that is, but I do the smutty things. So
okay, the smutty things, Mark.
Oh yeah, speaking of smutty things, yeah. No, I write right now. I write paranormal nonfiction. I do folklore and research trips with paranormal groups and Bigfoot groups and UFO groups. I'm big with the tinfoil hack crowd.
Very big.
Yeah, very big. It's scary.
Where's your hat?
Well, it's around here somewhere. I usually have it, but I'm letting the lasers control me right now. No, I do the Erie, Florida book series from History Press, and they've all been bestsellers. Erie, Florida, Freaky Florida, and Creepy Florida, as long as I can keep coming up with adjectives. And then the next project that is just went to the publisher and should be out later this year was Erie, Appalachia. And that one was a 2-year project, thanks to the wonderful things that happen in the world. And I couldn't do travel and interviews, but that one involves, here you go, Val, involves your boy Mothman and all his buddies. So
I'm just do a TikTok of a guy who's like reading his fan fiction of Mothman and him cooking up erotica.
Yeah. Have you seen that statue of him?
Yes,
He's got serious buns of steel.
He does.
Honeycomb's just like making it with Mothman.
Yeah. That statue was, I guess the artist just didn't know much about Mothman and looked up a thing, and sure enough, it was the Vallejo illustration from some. It wasn't even Mothman; it was just this alien entity. He's like, "Oh, it looks moth-like. I'll make that a statue." So that's where that comes from. But and then I'm finally back into fiction. I used to write for role-playing games back in the '80s, and some of those old ones like Bureau 13 games that you never heard of, and thankfully, are rightfully dead. But and now I'm back into fiction. So hopefully soon with more info.
I love that.
Hopefully it is soon. There's no hopefulness about it. It's happening no matter what. So for you wonderful listeners
you gotta
out there,
do you.
Yeah, Erica.
I talk a lot about what I write on the show, but I guess I can do it real quick. I write under 2 different names. So under Erica Lance, I write horror. And I have a shit ton of short stories out, and hopefully as soon as I have breathing room this year, I'll get my first whole novel in the Florida Hunting Ground series, because Florida's a freak show state and I can write about anything there. And then under Dahlia Lance, or Dalliance, if you say it really fast, I have 2 series, the Apartment 20B 3B series, which hopefully the second one will be coming out, which was It Was Meant to Be or Whatever, which is a follow-up to 72% Match. And then My Home on Horror Island, which has 2 books in it, and hopefully we'll have a book 3, Training of the Tramp, soon. So, which is a prequel, as one should have in any sort of smut series. Don't worry, I'm gonna have to write to that she's 18 or something, because otherwise it's gonna get fucking banned. But then again, in Tennessee, all my books might be being banned right now anyway, because fuck that. So what's really cool, I want to say to the listeners, now that I've talked about myself for a minute, is that all of the hosts you guys are listening to or watching tonight are friends of mine, which has been awesome to be a part of this amazing thing. So what I thought maybe we could do is talk about some of our favorite moments from the podcast in the last 100 episodes, which means you can't talk about the manatee, Valerie. So just gonna get you right.
Wait, no, because I want to know about the manatee now. I don't know about the manatee.
So we were interviewing.
Let's see if she can tell the story.
Jonathan Mayberry, of all people, and between the break of the first half and the second half of the episode, and he was talking about what he was doing the weekend, asked us what we were doing the weekend, and I'm like, I'm about to go fishing, and man, I hope I don't hit a manatee. And Erica starts like rushing to hit the record button, and he goes, whoa, what about the manatee? And Erica goes, don't worry, we're trying to get help for that. And I had to explain to him how I accidentally hit manatees with my fishing tackle when I cast out, because I can't see them because I always go night fishing, and they make a honky sound when you hit them. They're very angry. I've watched a woman in a kayak accidentally smack one with her pedal, and he turned around and flipped her out of her kayak. They are very vengeful and spiteful creatures.
And they're also the Antichrist, right?
Right. And which also inspired The Antichrist is a Manatee. It's a short story in Demonic Wildlife.
Sure.
I specifically told her not to tell that story, and yet that just happened.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
We set the bar pretty high there. It's going to be tough.
It's
Like,
gonna be
you
really
can't
tough.
say not to talk about it because I immediately want to know or talk about it.
Oh my God.
I want to know why you shouldn't talk about it.
And this is why
Hey,
Jonathan Mayberry wants to have drinks at Dragon Con with us, because we're ridiculous. Jen, what is one of your favorite moments?
I feel like this is cheating because it just happened, but it was so sweet. We were interviewing Kat Blackard talking about fan interaction, and she told the story about an interaction with one of her fans, and it was so sweet. Like, it was such a great story, such a great interaction. And I just love how most of the time when we're writing, you kind of do it in isolation for the most part. You don't really know what effect you're having. And for her to have that like feedback, like, yes, what you're doing is important. What she kept saying, you know, my silly little thing, my little passion project or whatever it was, is really impacting somebody. This character that I created on a whim is influencing how someone lives their daily life. And that's powerful. And I just thought that was so wonderful.
That's very awesome. Now somebody has to follow that up. So thanks, Jen. Okay, Vanessa.
Oh, you know, I still say that I am always been impressed with our one guest that actually did, was it sake bombs or was it Irish car bombs on the
Oh, that was an Irish car bomb.
Was it an Irish car bomb? I was like, yes, I'm waiting for someone to top that one still to this day. So keg stand, a beer pong across a big long table. Come on, guys. I believe in you. We can do this.
You believe in them, but you're showing up with a beer. We're gonna have to work on that. I think you can one up them, Vanessa. What about you, Mark?
Oh, me, you know me, I'm the fanboy. So we've been bringing on some amazing guests, and I love freaking them out when I pull up a book of theirs that I've had for like 20 years. And they all are in shock that they even knew it, you know, was still in print. And I'm like, no, it's not in print. I've had this. And no, it's scary. It was, I think it was, well, you know, Al, of course, Al Going Back, the great Bram Stoker Lifetime Award winner. You know, he's an old friend of mine. So it was still funny. He did not realize how many books of his I had. And so that was just one of those moments where he was just like, oh my God, you have all of them. And I was like, yeah, everyone.
That's because you were like, and this one, and this
one.
And what you guys can't see, you'll have to see, is Mark's bookshelf is right next to him, where Jen's is right behind her. Mark's is, and he's like, name any sci-fi fantasy author. Here are 12 books that I have.
Well, we had Matt Forbeck on, who wrote a lot of old role-playing stuff from the 90s, and he was selling his new book and his new Kickstarter, and then I'm pulling out his ancient stuff, and he's like, oh my God, where did you get that? And so it's all those moments where I'm surprising the authors. I think those are the moments that stand out for me because I'm surprising them, which is fun. So
very true. CR, what about you?
I really enjoyed when we talked to Marie, I think it was Wishart maybe, or Mokel, when her husband kept coming in. So we had to quickly change the subject so he didn't catch us talking about the sexy parts of her book.
Oh, yeah. No, it was very funny because what would happen is all of a sudden you'd see a wine glass come in like this, and she would be like, and then we'd be like, so let's talk about the erotica scene. And she's like, there are many flowers in the book that are pink. Like, he was talking.
It was written, yeah. And then he walked out. She's like, I am so sorry. My husband was just in here and he doesn't like that talk. And I was like, what? What?
Wow.
But it was so funny because that's how we do. Because Erica or I would ask her a question or something and she'd be like, yeah, it was really strange because you got to get in the mood and like you get into, and then sometimes when I'm writing, I really realize that maybe I should just take a walk outside. And I was just like, what? And then like she gets really quiet for a second and you see the other glass come through because they were staying at a hotel, right? And so he kept going downstairs to get her like the open bar or whatever that it was, the happy hour. So you would just see this wine glass come through and then it was silent and you'd hear a click of a door and she's like, sex scenes are so hard for me to go through, and like would just roll right back into it. I was like, you're amazing.
That is awesome.
I'm dying. I love it.
Probably my favorite.
That was very, very funny. I have to say, I think what's interesting are some of the new authors that come on. Like we had that father-daughter duo that had an entire setup of a Civil War thing with the hot air balloon. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? They have props. And apparently they dress like their characters to show up at things. And I was like, this is a whole next level. It's not even like somebody dressing as your character. It's you dressing up to go to conventions. And I think they just loved the whole concept. The whole book being published was a whole other thing. Because they were like, I just want to dress up and have props. Look, I made an airship.
It was incredible. And the thing is, as they were drinking more and more, they kept knocking it, and we were all just we were in breathless anticipation to watch it fall over and destroy the whole setup. They were an incredible couple. It's actually a good book too. I finished it the other day. It's really good.
Zombies in the Civil War.
That's
Awesome.
yeah. It's
nice
well done.
Yeah. I think so. That's always interesting to me when we get brand new authors versus some of the old timers on the show. And I don't mean old timers like whatever, but after you do a certain number of interviews, you get pretty polished to do interviews, unless you're Bill Fawcett that keeps us on our fucking toes the entire time because we're not going fast enough.
Rapid fire questions. These aren't rapid fire questions. What's wrong with you? We love you, Bill. Thank you so much. That was one of the best episodes just for that.
Oh my God.
Come on, rapid fire. Come on.
Hit me harder.
And then Jody Lynn Nye, his wife, who was on a previous episode, is like leaning in. What are you doing?
Dude, we had to swing by Fanboy Expo and Jody was there.
Yes.
And I realized the moment I got there that she's con mom. So
100%.
Like you're standing there talking to someone and someone goes, hey, so-and-so needs a snack. And she goes, I got this. And it's like, she starts pulling out huge bags of granola and raisins and nuts and starts custom making granola. Like,
are you serious? Like
yes.
a Chex Mix kind of deal?
Oh yeah, she's incredible.
Market style granola mixes,
Yep.
Oh
At Pensacon, my wife was at the booth with me, and she got a little bit of a headache, and immediately Jody's at the booth next to us. We're not even in the same booth, and Jody is like heard it through super Wonder Woman hearing, and turns the corner and is like, "Oh, here I have this, I have this, I have this." They had a whole department store pharmacy in the purse.
Oh my God.
She has a bag of many things.
Yep.
She does have a bag of holding that apparently has snacks and everything else you could possibly need in the entire world.
Little gnome pharmacist in there just handing things out from her Myth Adventures book.
What's funny, I think as a podcast in general, of course, this all started with getting drunk at a bar in St. Petersburg with authors. But the fact is the very big names we've had on the show, and that they talk to each other about being on the show and encourage their friends to be on the show. Like the reason we had Bill Fawcett, because Jody Lynn Nye sent him told him in a very threatening way that he had to email the show and get on the show if it was allowed, or else. So, but I think it's interesting going to conventions, which we've managed to go to a few of them, and talking with authors, and you go, drinking with authors, and they're like, oh yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
our first sci-fi bar tote was our first tabled event as Four Horsemen Publications, and people were stopping and they're like, drinking with authors. I'm like, what is happening here? Like, we just started this thing and people are pointing us out. We're like, what? So it's awesome that both readers and authors have connected so well with us. And it's so great to hear how different everyone's journey has been. From, like Jonathan Mayberry sharing the fact that his first publication was Bowling and You. And he goes, if anyone can find this book, I want it. I'm like,
The great search must begin for the bowling book.
and I, on occasion, search for it because I'm like, I'm going to find this book.
Oh my goodness.
I would just say I'd
What is
really
the
like
book
COVID
called?
to be over with since Pierce Anthony will talk to us if we can go to his tree farm.
Yes.
But we can't go to his fucking tree farm and bring Pierce Anthony COVID. I'm not going to be responsible for that. Thank you very much. By the way, this champagne, the more you drink of it, it tastes less bad.
That is literally just, except for bad moonshine, that is any alcohol. If you
know
drink
what?
enough of it quick enough, you don't even care about how it tastes.
See, I don't think you've drunk enough of your healthy drink because you're getting a little sassy over there, Miss Day.
I'm just saying, I feel
Less
like maybe
sassy,
you should
more
already know these rules.
Okay, so I want to talk about, before the break, the best answer to one of our questions for you guys. A question you asked and the most ridiculous best answer to that question, especially on rapid fire when there's drinking. Vanessa's already ready. Go for it, Vanessa.
I feel, yeah. I think, I don't know if it was me or you, but you asked, oh gosh, I can't remember her name, but she's just an amazing author. You asked her what her favorite book is, and she goes, The Haunted Vagina. And I
Right.
literally, I was like, what? Someone actually wrote that?
So
And
just-
I was like, and then I was like, I need to know more. And then you yelled at me for asking more questions because I was like, it was supposed to be rapid fire. And I was like, I want a whole explanation as to why this is someone's favorite book.
So I just have to say on this book, we bought this book, the podcast, and
Did-
tried reading
you
it.
read it for us for Halloween.
Yes, we didn't get through chapter 4 because
What's
really
the
weird.
crawling out and the nightstand
Or was it the
occurred?
weird noises coming out of her? He was like in
And
her.
then he
and
crawled
all of
in
a
to see
sudden-
what was going on.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you like hear a werewolf coming out of her vagina.
There was a zombie, like a
No,
skeleton.
it was a skeleton warrior came
skeleton.
out. And he had to use the
And
lamp.
he had to hit it with the nightstand.
Yeah.
So all of this occurred to the point he had to crawl into this.
He crawled in
Is
the
that
chest.
what's
Yeah,
going
he crawled
Kept
into
getting
it.
bigger because
He
he
I
crawled
can't figure out where they got my diary.
oh my
Damn.
God. I did ask this author to be on the podcast and he's not come on board
Oh.
yet.
on?
I think he's a recluse. He doesn't really do events, but I have to say, I will say this about that particular book. Just here's the disclaimer. I do not believe he has an editor. I believe he self-publishes all these books. So he has a ton of them. The book is got some humor, but we put it down after chapter 4. It got, and not because we're squeamish. None of us are squeamish.
If you enjoy Chuck Tingle, it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Belinda Blinks from
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
My dad
You guys
wrote
are
it now.
Rocky.
really raving this book here. That's there's the blurb on the
Okay.
back.
Yeah,
I was gonna
exactly.
say, are you saying not to read this?
I have it, Chelsea.
it's
I'll bring it to
experience.
you. I'm just,
You should actually have Erica read it to you. She's got a very
Yeah.
serious voice as she sits
Are we
there.
gonna sit
and
down?
she's
We'll do
like,
a wine night, and then
well,
Erica can
it's
just
gonna
read
need
it out
to be
loud for
something other
everybody?
than wine, but yeah, maybe some of this really
I
bad
have
champagne.
a full bar, and Corey just put in a keg. So
Yeah, that's true.
okay,
Okay, JM. Your favorite question?
I'm gonna cheat a little. I love your face whenever somebody mentions Jane Austen during rapid fire questions. So it's not the answer, it's anytime anything Jane Austen comes up, Erica just you're so offended.
I The thing is I don't understand. I that's what my problem is with it, is when I go, what's your favorite book? And they're like, I think Jane Austen. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Can I pause the podcast? Fucking
I enjoy
terrible.
Jane Austen.
Fuck Jane Austen and all the alabaster skin.
Yes.
And that's
Thank you.
That's Mark's pet peeve.
That's my trigger word.
Alabaster.
Well, you
Okay,
know,
Val, what
we all know that Erica's favorite book is 50 Shades of Grey, y'all. I mean, we can't talk about
There's the
how
face.
much she loves that.
The
book.
face. That was it right there.
She gives Jane Austen.
Wait, who fucking said that was their favorite book? One of the authors actually
It was
said.
one of ours that
Yeah,
we
it
did
was one
because,
of our
and I was like, "Are
interviews,
you
and they
kidding me?"
said 50 Shades of Grey, and I was like,
Yes, because you immediately texted me and said to fix my face because I was.
Can I just, in its defense,
said
the book is doing something right? 'Cause it sounds like crazy.
it's not the writing, Jen. You can go in its defense. It's not the writing.
That's okay. During one interview, Erica's like writing notes because we were sitting. I was at her house, so it was we were together, and we started writing notes to each other. And so I started writing crazy responses in reply, and she's like, "It's bad." And she's like, "I think he thinks we're a couple." I said, "You damn right."
Oh my God, who was that? That was actually a pretty famous person. Oh my God.
David Brim.
No, yes, it was David Brim. Thought we were a
kept calling us
couple.
Rainbow Girls.
Wow.
Oh.
And it didn't help us that our Four Horsemen shirts have the rainbow on them. I like that you just gestured to your shirt, both of you, as if there's a fucking rainbow on either one of those shirts.
I'm sorry.
But they have a rainbow too. He's like, Rainbow Girls. And I was like, oh, he thinks we're a couple. Not that there's which is like, okay, we're just gonna roll with it. So he kept calling us as Rainbow Girls throughout the entire episode. It was interesting. Val, what was your favorite question?
Some of the answers we get when we include what's your favorite fan moment, it just like it's a toss-up between Jonathan Mayberry mentioning the tiny French woman dressed as him with the chest hair and Jeff Strand talking about his wife not being happy about the stack of photos they received of some woman dressed as him at all his favorite college writing spots. He's like, I thought it was funny. And we're like, no, Jeff, it is not funny.
It is definitely not funny. What about you, Vanessa?
Mine was
Did you already ask you? I did. It's fine. It's fine. Mark, what about you?
Oh gosh, I think when I have that same thing when anybody says Jane Eyre is their favorite book, so I have to do my turn off the mic and throw up a little bit. But that one gets me every time. But I think the best one, honestly, was when we were talking to Harry Turtledove, and we were talking, and he was great. He wouldn't come on camera for reasons we don't know. I think he is actually a turtle and a dove pretending to be a human. So that's my theory now.
It's a chimera. A chimera.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know which half is which on this though, but that's what I'm picturing now. But I was fanboying and I asked him a question about an old one of his earlier books, and he flipped out because it was like that was the one that I finally got a good cover, and I was finally able to quit the day job, and I was finally able to be a writer. I took enough money to be a writer for a year, and I've been doing it 30 years since, and all this. And he's like, and then he goes, probably wasn't the wisest decision. Like you're a best-selling author, you're making a living as an author, and it wasn't the wisest decision. That I lost it. I thought that was great. He's like, I gave up a life of benefits and money, and now I'm an author.
Oh my God, that's so okay. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the hosts of Drinking with Authors.
Sample locally sourced, quality distilled spirits in the beautiful Columbia River Gorge. At Skunk Brothers Distillery, we're family owned, brewing small batch grain to bottle spirits, just like our grandfather did back in the Prohibition era. From handcrafted bourbons and moonshine to flavored blends and cordials infused with local fruit. Join us for a tasting tour and buy Skunk Brothers spirits straight from the source.
It's all in the family at Skunk Brothers Spirits, located in Stevenson, Washington.
You gotta wait for the mysterious lady to tell us it's okay.
Oh yeah, the robot voice.
Do you remember when that robot voice started coming on? How freaked out? Like, was that
You
on?
literally had the most startled look on your face, like, holy shit, what's going on?
I'm sure Zoom sent a fucking email that I didn't read that said, hey, by the way, we're going to start telling you that recording is happening.
Freaking
My favorite
GLaDOS
thing
from
is
Portal is gonna be on.
I send the emails that tell the authors what to expect. Hi, this is recorded. It's a video. The amount of questions, I feel like I should just not put any periods or any sort of like punctuation in this email so they read all the way to the bottom. Because the amount of authors that email me and go, okay, so is this just voice?
Yep.
Did you read it at all?
Not at all.
Probably not. They probably opened it to confirm whatever, backed out.
Hey, way back when I started, when I was on like episode 5, I think, or 6, we were discussing that wasn't video. That was just audio.
It was just audio.
That was in person
Mine
audio.
was just
Yeah.
audio.
Person sitting in Erica's
I went to a studio. Well, it was a kitchen.
Yeah, as
but
Erica tries to kill
Hey,
me.
that was our
with
studio,
strong
Mark.
drinks.
We went to the Drinking with Authors studio
Yeah.
performance.
And I believe that was after I probably cut the first variant of COVID because I had no voice. In fact, Austin had a great time with the fact that I sounded like Kathleen Turner. And then they were feeding me hot toddies and I got too drunk and they started asking me
Is this when
risque
you were
questions.
sick?
Yes.
And, like, had no voice. You
Yeah.
sounded like, I don't know.
Yeah, Roger
Kathleen
Rabbit's wife,
Turner.
Kathleen Turner. And they were asking me risque questions, and apparently Drunk Fowl knows that she has no filter, so I started shoving grapes and choking, and Erica's like, take the grapes from her.
I stopped giving food out to guests because of Val and her. She's like, let me just, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to be asked a question, start to answer, eat some food, start to choke on the food, start coughing horribly. So this is what everybody listening to the podcast is hearing, because I'm totally forgetting anybody else is an audience to what's happening.
Yeah.
You used to make like a cheese plate.
Oh, I was fancy. I was fancy
Wait
when
a
we
minute, I
started.
don't remember
I
ever
think
there
we'll
being
get
a
it
cheese
in
plate.
one-
You have
I was plied
stopped that
with
before I
coffee and
started.
alcohol.
Hey, that was one thing more than most
I
people
got
get SDR.
It was awesome. I was going up and down at the same time.
I was at the pre-drinking with authors at the bar in St. Pete, and I premiered a book at this book club there, and it was fun because at the end of the show I got to say, hey, buy my book, and people bought it. So
ooh.
No, that's true. And that's an interesting part, which is, it's actually funny. That's how we got our sponsor. Was one of our authors had them make a whiskey called Aftermath, which is John Dover, who is just a delight to have on, and Skunk Brothers. Then we advertised it, and apparently it sold out. So I'm not sure if books sell a lot from this podcast, but apparently booze does. So sponsors listening out there,
I
just
believe his
FYI.
book is Once Upon a Thing in the West.
Yeah.
So,
I like how Valerie's very proud of herself for remembering that title right now. If anybody's watching this
Fantastic.
episode, you can see that she does.
this is the only
Vanessa, were you going to
thing-
say something? Or you just randomly raising your hand up?
Oh no.
This is
no,
not
I was just
school,
trying
baby.
not to belch on screen. I'm like, dear, I'm sorry.
You're trying not to make it weird, and you made it weird.
I did. The bubblies got to me a little bit right here. So I was just trying to, keep it classy.
nice.
Keeping it classy. Well, speaking of keeping it classy, what do you think some of the most embarrassing moments on this podcast? And they're not all mine. So I just, yes, they are. Go for
Yours.
it.
All right. It was the first podcast we did together when she had the Skunk Brothers thing. And she is so proud of it. And she's like, and I just want to thank our sponsor tonight, Skunk Brothers Brewing. I was like, what?
I should not do disclaimers at the end of podcasts.
You should have seen her struggle to say the word sponsor for 5 minutes. And we just let it go.
That word.
Me and Jen are sober, and we're just watching Erica crack. I'm like, man, I haven't seen her this. I'm like, this is the drunkest I've ever seen Erica. I'm sure Jen had stories.
Just for the record, I wasn't that drunk. It's just words and sounds.
Words are hard.
Sounds.
A likely story.
Likely so.
I still could walk, so there was that. Hey, listen, the sponsor thing is new, and it would be smart of me to put like a Post-it to read off of or something. And
I told you I had my little card that I was gonna hold up, and all it said was skunk in capital letters.
Listen, you guys should definitely check out not only Skunk Brothers, but Cunt Brothers Spirits.
I laughed way too hard. I don't even know if she finished the whole thing. I think I fell off camera at some point. It was pretty crazy.
Okay.
But we were both extremely intoxicated. That was a good night, Eric. That was
That was a good night. I will say this, there are some authors that I absolutely get drunk with and enjoy getting drunk with. And then there are some I get more drunk because of how the conversation is going.
yes.
And that'd be my embarrassing moment.
Yeah.
When we've interviewed a lot of people, but the one, I'm not going to say names, but you were asking a question like, tell me about your writing. Like, did you start writing when you were young? Yes.
Oh, those are the worst.
Just pulling teeth, trying to get a response out of the person is awkward.
It's very awkward because I got it, sometimes writers are introverts totally, but I don't have this as a scripted thing. Normally there's like 6 or 7 questions and it carries through in weird conversations. But if they have no response to anything and I'm like, oh, okay, dude, literally I'm out of everything I could possibly ask you and it's gone nowhere fast. No.
I've noticed when we've had that, we just start our own conversation in the podcast and the author just sits there. We just start talking about whatever. And the author's just like,
I think at one time the author started asking us questions. I feel like on an episode, we're like, oh, so what's your favorite book? So to fill in the gaps, I'll give like some long, broad answer to kind of like, fill it in. But yeah, I think that's usually what's happened in like any awkward moments. I don't know, when we've hosted stuff.
I don't know, as an author, we always look for that chance to plug. And I always love it when the authors ask us about our books, and then we oh heck yeah, I got 5 minutes of my book here. I'll plug that again. I think one of the fun ones for me was when we were talking to, I think it was Jackie Sonnenberg, and she was a delight and an amazing author. And I admitted that I had a super crush on her writing, and she blushed, and I'd never seen Jackie like get flustered by anything, and that just made me laugh. So because then I lost it, you lost it. We all were just laughing for like 10 minutes, and I think we had to.
Mark, hold on. Do you have a dead body behind you? I just noticed.
What?
Is that a body behind you?
What are you talking about? I've got
like
I got
literally
a Grim
just
Reaper
looked
up
to
high,
the left
so.
down, and I'm
what
like,
you gotta do is just slide your chair in the pocket.
It's like a pillow and a zombie.
Is that my Mothman? Maybe? No.
There you
go. What is
I got my buddy Clem. He's getting quiet back here. Is that who we're talking about?
Yes. Oh my God.
Hi,
That scared the
Clem.
crap out of me.
He's not dead. He's just mostly dead.
He's
We took him to the Fountain of Youth in St. Augustine. Look how good he looks now. I mean, come on.
Started to grow a little color on there.
Okay, so note to
good
self, I hope everybody doesn't take Vanessa with you to try to figure out any sort of clues in a room, because that's been there for 45 minutes, Vanessa.
I'm sorry.
You should have been super fun and just scooted your chair like this, like what are you talking about?
Yeah, I do that when the morning meetings and stuff at work. They'll be like, what's back there?
I have no idea what you're
What are you talking about? I don't see anything. Yes.
Oh my God.
So one thing that I think is really funny is the fact that Jen does have an alcohol allergy. She didn't our entire friendship. She developed it because she's a vampire and allergic to the sun as well. And that every episode we have to talk about what?
So she's my favorite vampire.
All of the negatives.
Wait a minute. Was it Dante's going to be very upset? Don't say that.
Oh.
Team John all the way. We're talking about the characters in Valerie's book for those listeners who
Yes.
are unaware of who John's
Okay,
Team John
you know,
are.
I really appreciate that you nerd out and talk about characters in the book. Anyway, I think it's really interesting every episode that we end up having to say, and Jen's drinking tea and civil.
It always, yeah, I'm in recovery. No.
And Mark's always plugging Coffee Shop of Horrors. I swear to God, they're supposed to be a sponsor by now.
They
That's
should
all
be.
I'm
They
saying.
should be. Well, they give me enough, so they sponsor Erie, Florida now. So basically, so they gave me like 3 bags last time I went. They were like, "Here, this isn't selling. This isn't selling. Take this." All right, cool.
Oh, it's not selling. You're getting the rejects.
I get the reject
Okay.
stuff, but but yeah, I would take the epilepsy med, so I can't drink either. So, but Jen, I've got the same. I've got an allergy that you might not have for vampirism. I'm allergic to garlic and onions.
Oh,
So
That's so sad.
Fun.
Yes,
So no
it's-
Italian food for you.
so no,
no, I do it with oregano and basil and all that. So I just have to make my own stuff all the time. So
I just can't go outside for very long.
I just want to say I have a really bizarre collection of friends.
yes.
I am normal.
First of all,
No,
I'm completely
no,
normal,
no, you're not.
okay? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
I was shocked that Erica could handle me when I visited in North Carolina, especially with me and Jonathan ganging up on her about where the hell's the snow, Erica? It's 28 degrees out here. Where the hell's the snow?
These are 2
It
people
was
from
26
Florida.
degrees. I live in Florida. It was 26 degrees at my house last week.
Yep.
Bullshit. That is not natural. I was so angry.
Did you
Yeah,
have to
well,
dodge
just for the
falling
record-
iguanas?
The falling iguanas. Valerie and Jonathan, who is my other half, or better half, I should say, were born and raised in fucking Florida, so they've never seen snow, nor apparently understand the science of how snow works.
Yeah, it doesn't just get cold and snow appears.
That's exactly what they thought was going to happen.
Yes.
There has to be water
not
in order
how
for there to be
it's
snow.
Yep.
No, it falls under 32 degrees and it should instant drop snow.
Apparently, the moment it does that, it's supposed to start looking like Christmas. And they're both like, but it's 27 degrees. And then the best part was that, like, my car gives a warning saying there may be ice on the road when it falls to a certain temperature, right? It gives you a little warning, fancy fucking cars. They're like, is there ice on the ground? I'm like,
Is there water?
is there air? I don't know.
Oh no.
Just for the record, I felt bad for him, so I sent him a snow globe.
Oh,
It's not a snow globe. It's a globe full of toilet paper.
Yeah, full of toilet paper that said I survived the Great Toilet Paper Drought. of 2020.
Oh my god.
And then 5 days later, it snowed. It worked.
I will say, I lived in North Carolina for 15 years. It snowed maybe 8 or 9 times during that time period. Like, it doesn't snow that often there, unless you're now, Erica, you're up in the mountains, so
Yes.
we used to
on
go to the
mountain.
mountains to see the snow.
No,
So that's
it's-
really
it's
weird for
fine.
you
It
guys.
snowed. It actually snowed last Saturday here, and then it melted in the morning. But I think for people who live in Florida or have grown up in Florida and don't understand science, this whole snow concept is really bizarre to them.
Not implied to
And
me.
then I have to say, I love my boyfriend. I do. It snowed, and he's like, "Oh, we can't drive. It's snowing." I'm like, that's also not
so
how this
cute.
works.
that's the people down here in Florida that stop the minute it starts raining and just stop on the interstate
Oh,
because
I
it's
mean, we
raining.
have
It's like,
But she's
driving during
insane.
hurricanes, okay?
Exactly.
And he said
Like,
that.
come on.
No, it was very funny because I think, and this kind of ties back into writing and talking about writing, is if you don't understand the concept of how something works and you're writing about it, like, do your fucking research. Like,
Yes.
understand, like, I really hope to God Val is not writing about snow and how it works to be in the snow.
Basically, I don't even cover temperatures. I announce it has snowed. I don't say how it happened, but I do always imply a storm has hit overnight, because that is my concept in all the Christmas movies. A blizzard delayed Santa and it magically snowed heavily. So I go with that concept.
I
Go with
just
that.
want to add, if you're going to research weather online, please like look at more than one website.
Yeah.
for your research because I was just reading, but the website said the first one on Google, which was wrong.
Oh my God. So let's talk about research for a little bit because that comes up a lot of times on no, Val, calm the fuck down right now. Just calm the fuck down.
No, Val. No.
Search.
Get the little squirt bottle.
I just taught workshop
What
on
I think
research.
is really funny is
I wrote a
Val.
book on research.
Val is one of the most vocal about it, but I've also seen Vanessa go down a rabbit hole and research a scarf that has absolutely no importance in the book whatsoever for 5 hours. So
That was funny.
see, Jen was there when that was happening.
You were
Mark,
like, does it matter? It doesn't matter.
Mark, you have to do research for your books.
Oh
though.
yeah. I mean, this is my latest is that I'm digging into is the secret books of the Egyptian Gnostics. It's a real page turner, but it's something I
What the
needed
hell are you researching that for?
because there's a crazy thing that ties into the Gospel of Thomas, and I need the Egyptian diagnostic of it. It's very weird. It's for a project on a documentary. Like I said, big with the tinfoil hat crowd. It will make sense. I promise.
I believe you. Val, where did you go, Val?
She's there. She's still there.
I'm digging my research books.
Oh my God.
All right, hold on. Here's
plural.
while,
We just
while
went
we're waiting.
plural.
Here we go. Here's the other one. So this guy is Johan K Peterson. He was the tallest man in the world up to the 1980s when he passed away. And so I needed this postcard that he used to sell because I found this, and this was his ring finger. This was his ring finger ring.
Oh my God.
Look at that. And I needed to know what the hell this was for a project for Ripley's Believe It or Not. So, and I had to research this guy to figure out, oh, this is a ring because I found it on that photo. So,
Oh man.
That's
nuts.
That is painful.
That's research.
I can't share any of my research books because they're in the trunk of the car because I was worried I would need them during the cafe ride.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Okay, and then we go to C.R. Rice that does how much research?
I don't research at all.
Yeah. The only research
I created my own world though, so I get to do
right?
whatever
Yeah.
I want.
Exactly.
But I feel super inadequate compared to you guys.
the only reason I do research at all is because I write in modern times, is if I need to understand where a location in like a city is, so I'm not doing disservice to the city. Like if I'm talking about something that could happen in the city, I don't want to do disservice, so I'll look it up. But guess what I won't do? I won't spend 5 hours wondering what subway line runs in Chicago, Vanessa.
Hey, I've never done that.
You did it with a scarf.
I
This
did
damn
not.
scarf.
I still don't know where this scarf came from. She keeps giving me crap about a scarf. I've never researched a scarf. Now
You were in the middle of writing your other story and you needed to know what someone was wearing and you started doing research on different brand names of scarves. And then like an hour later, you were still looking it up. And then you kept asking us, there were like shoe brands that came up and we were like, what are you doing? And you're like, I'm testing this.
My favorite night was the night that she made the mistake of asking what kind of tattoo this chick should have in her.
Okay, yeah.
I started unloading. I was a
Valerie
tattoo artist. I know how bad this goes.
No, okay, because I was trying
we gotta
to come up with a tattoo for this girl, and Valerie decides to send me tramp stamps and suggestive tattoos on Zoom, and I was traumatized. And all I kept thinking was, Erica's gonna wake up the next day and be like, "What the fuck is this?"
That's okay. I have a research story that happened last night. It was glorious. One of my characters makes a jab at Adonis, and I was like, "Wait, that's like very specific. Is that accurate?" And of course, my book was in the trunk of the car, so I was like, "Fuck, I don't feel like going outside at 2 a.m. So I would just put it in, and all of a sudden I go down to YouTube. There's something called the Adonis Academy on YouTube, and it's teaching people to be male strippers. And I'm like, Jennifer, we are missing out on an opportunity.
Videos.
No,
at 2
one
a.m.
time
about
Valerie,
how it told every move
You
tells
do
a
the chest
story.
roll,
Val.
or
It's not
the
just a
neck
move.
roll, or the hip roll, but keep the 4-point positioning.
It's head, chest, belly, sit, and that's the story that the roll
And then,
tells.
like he says in the video very clearly, he looks in the camera and goes, if the head is too much for you, just pull it out of the routine.
no, one time Valerie says, oh man, I was doing research on, because I didn't know it existed, on sriracha pants. Okay. And then says,
Chastity
what's
rolled
up?
music
What
and
the hell
her
are
yoga
sriracha
mat.
pants? And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And apparently, if
We
you
were
don't know
editing and
this,
trying to figure out what it was. Should
like,
be capitalized.
if you do yoga
Right.
and you want to have sex with someone on a random situation, sriracha pants are yoga pants with an easy access to
There's no
get your
stitching
biz
down there.
on. Like,
It's
seriously.
flat.
And I'm pretty sure they
Okay,
were
I have a
$16.
question.
Okay.
How do you guys find this stuff? Were you just like writing and you're just like, you know what? I'm gonna invent this pant to make it easy because smutty stuff, super fun. Or are you shopping online and you're like, holy shit, I just bought these yoga pants. They have no crotch.
I was
How
just saying,
did
if
you
you guys,
get from A to B?
They are
They
a
have a
brand
crotch,
name.
but it's
They're
like a
brand
secret.
name. It's
Are
a
you-
brand name. They're like
How'd you
$100
find
a
it?
pop. And
You want to know what
show
she
on-
buying a
They have a picture of a sriracha pepper in the crotch.
I'm just trying to figure out how y'all got on my Amazon wish list. This is crazy. So-
It's public,
Kelsey,
Mark.
it started
It's
because
public.
we were editing
oh,
a
that's what
story
I forgot to
and it
switch
came
that.
up. And then we
I
were
was
like, what is
do I
that?
capitalize this or not? And she's like, is it a brand name? And I said, well, let me Google it.
Oh, it was
That's
chastity
what
belt,
we
wasn't it?
know.
Chastity belt short
Chastity
story.
belt.
And Val was like, is
Believe
this
it.
real?
It's,
And then
it's
she
a real brand.
It's a real
Okay,
thing.
so just for
Our
the
new
record,
sponsor for next episode.
Watch it.
shut your pan. When you want to get laid after hot yoga, because that doesn't stink.
Without taking your pants off.
No, ever.
I mean, downward dog is just not just a yoga position. Okay.
This special edition of Drinking with Authors is now about the X rating. Thank you for being a part of it. And for the okay, you don't need any more, Val. It's still hitting you. You're
There's
bright.
another bottle upstairs.
I think that's a terrible plan. You were a lightweight, and I think
You
it's a
do
terrible
you.
plan.
You
For
do
the record-
that. Don't let
No,
tell
no,
you what to do.
no.
Live your
we
best
are-
life.
Stop being a bad example.
I have no
You guys-
gallbladder.
What? Did you just say you? Oh my
I
God.
don't know what she said.
Because you need your gallbladder pumps more bile into your system to fight poison. Alcohol is a poison. So I have no defense when I drink. And this is why it's never a good idea.
That's
Just
why I'm
I don't have a gallbladder.
I've done the research.
Oh my God. I just, okay. Woo, woo.
Oh, Val,
Okay.
you're gonna come over sometime. I got some tricks to show you.
Val,
You should
what is
buy
that
sriracha
helping? Are you
pants,
trying to
Chelsea,
fan
and show
yourself
Corey.
off?
Yes.
I can't let him know that exists, okay? If he finds out.
The
Be like,
rock
hey, honey,
fan.
I got a trick for you.
He would replace half of my closet, and then you'd find my secret stash of shoes.
Okay.
I can't compromise it.
Okay, so I'm gonna pose this question to everybody in the group because I don't want to talk about sriracha pants anymore. Which is, what is your favorite book you recently read, JM?
I'm always reading like 4 books. You know
I
what?
know.
I'm enjoying. Let me make sure the author name. I'm reading this book about dragons, and it's like a urban fantasy police procedural. But but I want to make sure I say the author's name right. It's like Isla Frost. I'm enjoying her series about dragons. And then before that, I was reading John Corwin, who does like it's very Harry Dresden feel to it, but with like Cthulhu. It's a fun series. Also, I'm rereading Lord of the Rings because I'm teaching it again. So always my favorite.
Nobody cares about that part. Okay, Valerie.
So hey, I bought a bunch of books to use for book talk. And I started rereading a book that I previously enjoyed. And here we go. I'm gonna show you guys the cover.
It's so good.
Take that in. This is Robbie Morton, Mail Order Bride by Eli Easton. This is a male spaghetti western rom-com. And it's so sweet and adorable and funny and feel goods with cowboys.
It's just the bonnet. The bonnet gets
the
bonnet,
yeah. The cover.
I don't know if I could.
The sexy cowboy.
I can pull off the sexy cowboy, but I couldn't pull off the bonnet.
The fucking bonnet.
Mark, you could pull off that bonnet in a heartbeat. You can.
I can pull off the sexy cowboy, but the bonnet, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe Mark's guest in the back may look good in a bonnet.
Oh, Clem could pull off the bonnet. Yeah, definitely. Clem could pull off the bonnet. There we go.
Okay, Vanessa, what are you reading that you're enjoying right now?
Oh, I finished this delightful book called Threadneedle by Carrie Thomas, and it does not have a U.S. publisher, which is a damn crime.
Selling it in the U.S. because
it is a Sunday Times bestseller. It's amazing. If you love Discovery of Witches meets practical magic adult novel, it is glorious. It's beautiful prose, beautiful characters, dark craziness, and yeah. So US, I don't know what you guys are doing, but you are like way behind.
Okay, CR.
So I don't research for my books, but I do like reading history books and stuff. And I actually found a weird romance because I was looking up Jack Frost because, Jack Frost is my favorite. And it's actually by an author named Rebecca F. Kenny. And she takes like Jack Frost and Peter Pan, which is another one of my favorites, and does a different spin on like a romance with them. And I absolutely adored her series so far.
Very, very cool. What about you, Mark? What are you reading?
You're muted.
Other than Agnostics.
Other than that page turner, I'm reading like you do, Jen. I read like 4 books at a time. So I went back to my childhood and was reading a Battlestar Galactica novel. This is Die Chameleon, which was never aired as an episode, was never filmed. So this is one of the lost episodes of the original Battlestar Galactica. And I had never read this. I didn't even know they made a couple. So I'm digging for like 3 others. I'm on an eBay hunt to find the 3 others that were never made as episodes, but came out as books. I didn't even know they existed.
Wait, Mark.
And so I fail as a fanboy.
Which is the better Battlestar Galactica, the original or the remake?
I like them both in different ways, but OG is the better, I think, because I just, the nostalgia factor. When I was a kid, that was my show. Starbuck was the Han Solo I wanted, and all that. And when they did the remake, I like the remake because it took me a while to get into it because what they do to Starbuck. But then Starbuck was still a badass, so I was cool with it after a little while, but it took a while. So there you go. But now for the one I just finished that was amazing is The Black Tongue Thief by Christopher Bielman. And he writes usually horror. He's an old Bay Area Renaissance Festival guy. He used to do the stocks and insult people. So this is
Christopher the Insulter.
Yes, Christoph the Insulter. This is his 5th book.
Awesome.
And he's gone fantasy. So it's horror, fantasy, comedy, and it is incredible. And it's really cool characters. And I'm so excited that he's doing well. And it's an amazing book. So.
I actually have his first book because a friend of mine who I was dating at the time many, many moons ago had me dragged across the entire Renaissance Festival and put in the Stockades by Christoph. And so for a birthday, he decided to buy me his first book autographed by him. And Nice. It says something about dragging me across the Renaissance Festival for that. So that's happened. I am actually reading, I know everybody's going to be shocked by this, a Dan Wells book called Hollow City, which is really, really good.
Austen. You're gonna say
Jane Eyre.
Giving it a chance.
Yes. Fuck you, Vanessa. And the other book I'm reading, and I'm going to say the name wrong, so correct me, Mark, but is it Crocea? Crocea by
Crota. Just Crota.
Crota by Owl Going Back. And that is scary as shit. I will say that. Crota is scary. He is amazing.
It's the scariest book I've ever read. Yep.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Do not read it at night. It was a bad idea. So
needs to be a movie. It would be an incredible horror movie.
Absolutely, it would be an incredible movie. Oh, I've never asked anybody on here this question, so I'm going to ask this before we have to wrap up in a little bit. What is your favorite book to TV show or movie? I'm going to start with Vanessa.
Oh God.
She looked the least prepared on the show. If you guys are watching the YouTube, she looks the least prepared to take on that question. That's why I asked her.
Oh,
She's
damn
just
you.
hugging her beard.
And that's a question I ask like all the other guests.
Yes.
Oh God. Best book to, is it, you said TV or movie, or does it matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just visual production.
Oh, you know what? I'll say Netflix did an amazing Shadow and Bone adaptation of the book series. So if you love like Russian inspired fantasy, the books are fantastic, and I think they did a really great job, because she wrote 3 different series set in different times, and this show had found a way to mesh them all together in a way and tell the story. So I would say kudos, Netflix, you're the bomb.
Okay.
This one time. Let's not get crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say, CR, what is yours?
This one time. Well, so I don't really mind any of them, because I do the movies or the show are basically a fan fiction. But I thought they did a pretty decent job on the Hunger Games series. I thought that they did a really great job. Like they hit it. They emphasized the important parts, and they really did let the less important fluffy things just kind of fade away. And I thought they did a great job.
I agree with you. I like that one immensely. Val.
So I had a teacher who was all about Forrest Gump and made us read Forrest Gump, and that was a horrendous, dry book, but it made a very good, everlasting. I mean, people still quote that damn movie to this day. Life is a box of chocolates,
even if they've never seen it.
And I've yelled Lieutenant Dan to people at random because you can, and it's totally acceptable.
I don't know that's totally acceptable, but you're weird. So.
And of course we have a Jen. So how many times have you heard Jenny?
Jenny.
Okay. JM, what about you, my friend?
I'm gonna go backwards and do The Princess Bride, which was a movie and then a book. And then he made up the whole idea that it was a book, which is so fun, like just that back and forth meta. And yeah, The Princess Bride is wonderful. And
it is wonderful. We actually got the opportunity to go to a screening of it where Carrie Elways was there.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's still wonderful.
He's still wonderful. He is such a delightful, yummy human being. He could be a cowboy in the cowboy thing. That would be fine. Mark, what about you?
I was gonna say a joke answer, but and I was gonna say, Backdoor Babes 4. I loved the book was amazing, but the movie was incredible. I mean, it's just ripped off the pages. It was beautiful. No, but honestly, I was gonna say
I think your whole computer when you said that. So well done.
Yeah, no, I think honestly, I go Lord of the Rings, but not the movies that you think. I go back to the Bakshi animation. Lord of the Rings was probably just one of those things that hit me right and pulled me in. So, did I upset someone?
JM that teaches Lord of the Rings appears to be offended by it. She just did the Erica Jane Eyre face.
It's got its own qualities.
Yeah.
That's what I will say about it.
That's the same thing I say about the Peter Jacksons. They have their own qualities. So yeah, no one's done it quite right, but I thought that one had just the feel that I got when I read it. That's what
they were like, look, stop motion plus animation plus all the
They were doing what they had with what they got.
That
so.
movie was the reason why Tolkien, he always said he never wanted his books turned into movies because he never forgot that when he's watching something, he never forgot he was watching it. He can't lose himself in a visual medium the way that he can lose himself in a book. But that movie sealed it for him. He was like, absolutely not, never again.
And then
Really,
he
they
died.
respected his
And then he
people did it
died.
anyway.
Okay, well then how about then I'll go with
Great, you
Go with
pissed off the PhD
Gordon-
in English literature. Well
Gordon
done.
R. Dixon's The Dragon and the George got turned into another animated around that time called The Flight of Dragons. And they based it on the crazy Flight of Dragons book that had come out, which was like a picture book. But they stole the story and text completely and all the characters and all this from The Dragon and the George, which is a great book. And the animation in that was pretty cool, and it was a cool story too. So I think the same team that did Last Unicorn did that one too. So.
Oh,
Yes,
I
it's
love
that
the Last
80s feel.
Unicorn.
But
Oh my God. You know what? Can I change my answer? The Last Unicorn. Like
my favorite.
I just recently watched that and my heart fluttered. I felt light. I was like, yes, I just love that movie and the book.
I can feel this body dying. I'm like, oh my God, this is a kid's movie. Oh my God.
I just read it with my daughter. Vanessa suggested we were looking for a book to read. She's 11 and we just read it together.
Nice.
It's good.
Yeah.
Does nobody
Classic.
remember Watership Down? Because if we want to talk about
Oh
children's
man,
movies,
traumatic.
then-
Yeah.
Just
That book traumatized me so bad. I'm like, this was supposed to be fluffy bunnies. Ripping each other apart.
what's the Bridge to Terabithia?
Oh,
No.
that was a rough one.
That's
Okay.
like my girl.
I'll just say one word. Artax. There you go. There's your heart. There's your
My
heartstrings.
kids laughed during that scene.
Oh
I'm
wait,
like,
is that from
evil children.
The Neverending
Never-
Story?
Never ending story. Yeah.
Oh, you're a monster.
Are you? Okay, I got a fun never-ending story fact.
Mm.
And I'll tell my favorite actual book to movie stuff. And I love The Hunger Games. That's definitely in the top for me. But Barrett Oliver, who played the kid that read the book in The Neverending Story, I was at school with him when that was happening. And me and him used to play Dungeons and Dragons. We'd skip class and go play Dungeons and Dragons. And he did this, and he disappeared for a couple months, and I was like, where the hell were you? And he's like, I don't know, I was making a movie, and we went back to play Dungeons and Dragons, and then all of a sudden he was on the big screen. I was like, that's pretty cool. Okay, so I love The Hunger Games. I think they did a great job with The Hunger Games. I think Peeta's casting was good. I'm not going to argue with anybody about that, but I have to say, I was thinking about this as we go through things, and I read and listened to the book You. And the TV show for You is actually fucking brilliantly done and follows the book. Like it really does. It's done in the entire book. And it's one of the books that I prize for how it's written, because it is completely written from that one character's perspective. No other characters influence this at all. Like even when we're talking about another character, he's talking about how he thinks that character is doing things or thinking about things or whatever. It's never you're
Unreliable
watching another
narrator.
person's actions. It's him thinking about what the other person's actions are. It's completely stalkerish. They cast it completely brilliantly. They followed the book completely brilliantly. It's fucked
just
up.
the
Now
first
the
book you
second
read?
season of You does not, for the
Oh.
record, follow the book.
Well,
Completely.
so I never actually read it, but I heard a lot of people and had a lot of people tell me that the show was better than the book because obviously there are certain things you can do on screen that you can't do in writing.
So I would say if you're gonna, this is one of those ones where I actually think the audiobook does it justice. And ironically, the person who reads that book also reads The Hunger Games, The Song and the Snake, or whatever that follow-up book is. It's the same narrator who reads
The
that.
Mockingjay?
Yeah, and writes part of Dune, which is really hysterical because we listen to a lot of audiobooks, me and my boyfriend, and he's like listening to it and he's like, is this the You guy? I'm like, yes, it is. Oh, what's happening over there, Mark? He's visiting again.
Sorry, Clem. He got bored.
Oh,
Why is his name Clem?
It's just that it just stuck. I don't know. We found him on the road one day, And you got to name your pets, right? So
We need more information, Mark.
Yes.
Found
Oh.
him on the road one day.
yeah, he was there. He's a couple
he
hundred
wearing a
years old. So
t-shirt?
he's wearing a Hawaiian print. So because we all wear Hawaiian print here as Florida authors. He's a Florida author. He co-wrote 31 Tales of Hellview Cemetery when I was running a haunted house back in the day. And well, actually, he just posed for a couple pictures on it. We gave him co-author credit. So
You guys might not know this, but Mark ran one of the most successful haunted houses in St. Pete for years called Hellview Cemetery.
Yeah.
He's had many different incarnations in his life of different creative endeavors.
yeah, if you Google me, you get all kinds of fun, especially if you go past page 2 of Google. So
Yeah, I was going to say you should probably ignore the mug shots. Those weren't really, never convicted, never convicted.
never convicted, and I needed the
Doesn't
money.
count.
So, no,
You needed the money.
Okay.
the Adonis YouTube channel, that video, that one is not supposed to be monetized anymore, so it's all good.
Valerie, stop creeping on Mark. Oh, she's blushing and she's drunk. I appreciate it. Okay, so we could talk for hours because you guys are just thoroughly amazing, and I love every one of you. But let's do a final thoughts. And because Valerie looks totally prepared for that,
So
let's start with her.
He went there
Just
himself.
miss Mark just being like, "Get the fuck away from me."
Yeah, don't touch me.
Well, there, he's comfy on his pillow now, so he's all good.
Val, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I'm too drunk for thoughts.
There it is, the
Final thoughts.
tagline.
I can't wait to see how the whole author landscape changes in the next year or two. There's a lot of changes going on in the industry, a lot of authors rethinking what success looks like for them. And with conventions starting to slowly amp up, or and it's strange because when it comes to the convention circuit, there's a lot of conventions that no longer have the weight or exist that used to be staples, and ones that were no names are now rising to the surface a little bit, who were able to keep it together and going. So it's going to be interesting to see what the author landscape develops this year. So I think that would be my final thoughts. I can't wait to hear the new stories that develop out of the changes the pandemic may have brought, for better or worse, I suppose.
I like that. I was wondering if you're going to actually tie it into drinking with authors at all, but thank you for pulling it out in the end there, Val. Yeah.
I would pull it out at the end.
Jen.
I'm right on top of that, Rose. I just hope we keep getting to talk to cool people and have fun conversations, even if I'm not drinking.
Yeah, that's true. Well, at least somebody keeps us on track. That's what I'm going to say about that. Vanessa, what are your final thoughts, my friend?
Ooh, I would like to see myself actually finish my damn novel. So bam, that's one. And probably, I don't know, just to be able to go to cons again. I haven't been to a con since Pensacon. I think Pensacon was my last one.
No, it wasn't. It was Tampa Bay Comic-Con. You should pay
Oh,
attention to what's
my
happening.
bad,
in the
my
world.
bad. Yeah, no, I just hope to be able to go to more stuff this year. So woo woo.
Very cool. CR, parting thoughts, my friend?
I mean, after a shit year last year, my biggest thing is just I really want to get at least 2 or 3 of my realms done this year.
That's
As long
very
as,
true.
my husband fixes my computer and stops it from crashing and destroying weeks of work,
I think that was months of work, but that's okay. Mark, I like that Val stuck with the guest thing and then it got to Vanessa and it went off again. Mark, what are your parting thoughts for drinking with authors?
I'm hoping that we rope in a lot more, classic authors. I've been having too much fun chatting with some of these guys after they come on, they like this, we become friends, and they keep up with us, and they check in, and I listened to that episode last week. It was great, Mark, and tell Erica I love that. And then I forget to tell you. So it's all good.
Well, I appreciate the accolades that never
You
arrive.
officially cashed in. It was recorded that you told her.
Yep. There we go. I just told you. But no, I can't remember any of their names off the top of my head, but no, I'm looking forward to seeing who all else we can get on. and just to have fun and to learn more. I mean, we got new authors who came on. We had one new author came on who was talking about how much she paid to have her book edited and to have her book published. And we were like, no. But we couldn't do it at the time. So
No, don't do that again. No.
Don't do that again. Don't do that again. But then we have the seasoned authors who are going into new fields, like they're starting to go back self-publishing themselves because they're not getting the love from the publishers. And then, it's complete, like you said, topsy-turvy landscape. And I'm loving the show that it lets us explore that with all these crazy people, and we make friends forever. So loving it.
Yeah. And I hope to see a lot of them come back and update us on where they are and what their new releases are and things like that.
And what they're drinking.
And what they're drinking now.
Yeah, obviously we need to do one so Vanessa gets past the Irish car bomb and onto a new exploratory thing. I'm super excited about what this year is holding and the fact that we are out there, and I hope behind the scenes, kind of what tying back, believe it or not, watch this, Jen, I'm going to tie back to something you said in the beginning that Kat brought up, is that I really hope that even though we don't necessarily hear it ourselves, that our podcast has helped people and helped authors and helped writers, or helped even quote unquote wannabe writers figure out how to do things and help navigate through a lot of stuff that maybe they would have had more difficulty navigating, or thinking that they weren't doing things right or whatever. And I hope that that's helped them. And for those that aren't writers, I hope that they're, I have a lot of people that aren't writers that tell me they listen to the podcast that they, because they think it's thoroughly ridiculous and comical, and to hear all the sides of these people that are behind written words to them. So I hope we get to continue that for another 100 episodes. We can't do that this year. We have to wait a couple of years to do that because, that's how that works. But the maths. But I'm excited to do that. I like that Valerie kind of keeps going in between a smirk and a deer in the headlights. Is that part of your drunk book?
It's me trying not to fall asleep because now I just want to grow up and fall.
Oh my God.
Might recommend a cup of morning BJ.
You gotta get a morning BJ there, Val. Get a morning BJ.
Oh, okay, Mark.
Banana nut bread. That's all I'm saying. It's good.
That's okay. You should have seen us on the panel at Spooky.
Yes.
And he's like, I'm like, I don't think I'm qualified to be on this panel about cryptids. I feel outclassed. And he was upset because Stacey Brown couldn't be there, who was like the big Bigfoot hunter in Florida. And I'm like, what would I have to discuss with him with the title like Sleeping with Sasquatch? But he's like, come on, how much do you know? And then he started naming all the different regional types. And he's like,
Yeah.
and then he starts mentioning the dog man and then the lizard man, and I said, well, I just think when Hurricane Katrina hit that the Rougarou just migrated east.
Yep.
And he goes, there was a boar man spotted in Punta Gorda. And
Yep.
everyone in the audience is like, what's a Rougarou?
Yep. And we went off for like 20 minutes on Rougarou there. So that was, see, it all comes around. So
I'm just going to point out that Val just totally went off topic. Like,
it's all
so
good.
violently
It's
off
all
topic.
good.
You are
That
so
is
pretty
on brand
tonight,
for
Val.
her.
You are so pretty.
I know.
And
Have
with
you seen
that-
Socks?
Oh my God. You shut up. Mute
I
yourself.
did
at this
one
point.
where I'm impersonating Erica. That is glorious.
Val's a
Wait
TikTok.
a
viral
minute.
sensation.
You need to show your lovely photograph, Valerie, before this video ends.
That's right. You didn't show Mark.
Oh, Mark,
You
Oh,
gotta
no,
show
what's
Mark
this?
in the
So-
viewers of YouTube.
What am I missing?
Jen and Erica have a birthday coming up in March. And I thought to myself, what gift could I get that would encompass my new friendships with them, right? And it hit me when I did. And I bought us each a copy of it.
Ready for this.
Oh my God.
You're not prepared.
I'm so proud of myself for this one.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
It is the painting of the three muses, but with our
Yes.
faces.
Yes. I was gonna say
We're
that's
thinking of
amazing.
getting t-shirts, group
Did we
t-shirts,
get t-shirts
and
made?
matching
When Four
pillows.
Yep.
Horsemen has an official building, we'll get a really large mural of it.
Oh,
Like a
yes.
desk. So
Because like, no, vetoed.
And
Okay,
I'll
and
do
with
sexy
that-
cowboy over to the side.
Yes, we'll
Yes.
have Mark's
Hang out
cowboy
the
on
three
the
of them.
side.
I'll do
Yes.
sexy cowboy over the side, head down.
Maybe peeking around a tree.
Who wears the
I
ball?
like it.
Oh my God. Okay. We have to go now because stuff. But this has been the 200th-ish episode.
it's very true. It's on brand. It's on brand. It's on brand for
The
us.
200th kind of hazy episode.
It's
Drinking with
everything for us.
authors. I have been your
Sponsored by.
host, Erica Lance.
No, you're sponsored by Skunk Brothers.
I'm gonna
Sponsored
get
by.
to that in a moment. My Cunt Brothers Spirits. Skunk Brothers Spirits. They are amazing people, and hopefully they have a sense of humor. We'll see. They might cut me off. Skunk Brothers Spirits, DWA 10. Please, absolutely. They have some amazing different spirits that are so tasty on that thing. And if you feel like you can take on like a Thor type experience, you should buy the lightning. That's what I'm going to say. If you
Liking lightning.
yes, ride the lightning. But I've been your host, Erica Lance. My amazing group of co-hosts today have been J.M. Paquette, Valerie Willis, who didn't know what to do with her hands, Vanessa Valley, Mark
They collided
Lunsky,
in a wrong
and Sierra
section.
Rice.
Took a minute to discover.
Val, I don't know what to do with my
Good
No,
hands.
it's
So
Talladega
good.
Nights where you just slowly lay a piece. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Jazz hands.
Oh
Just do
my
jazz
God.
hands. It's all good.
Jazz hands. We'll see
The
you
jazz
guys
hands
next
down, Clem.
time.